Welcome to the Redefine Podcast.
Okay, happy podcast day. Happy podcast day to you. Welcome to the show if you're brand new. And of course, if you are an existing listener, welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so real quick, before we get into the meat and potatoes, I want to let you know if you hear snoring, that's my dog. Well, one of my dogs, one of my many dogs. That's Shadow sleeping under the desk, blissfully snoring the afternoon away. So I can't edit it out because it's pretty constant. So you're just gonna have to put up with a dog snoring in the background of this episode. Okay, so for today, I want to talk about content and kind of some guidelines that I have for content. I know I've covered this before in the past, but I wanted to revisit it because it just kind of made sense to talk about content, given that in last week's episode we talked about being more intentional and purposeful with the exposure and the time you spend on your device and in front of your screen and surfing the internet, right? I mean, it's all part of the bigger picture, right? The bigger equation, being more intentional and purposeful with the time you spend online. And if you're like me, which I think most of you are that follow the show, it's impossible to avoid spending time online, right? Being a content creator and putting this stuff out there, it's impossible to completely avoid exposure to the internet. And so we have to be really, really more mindful, again, intentional and purposeful around that time. Otherwise, it's just going to run away with us, and it's going to, at the very least, turn us into, scatterbrained and distracted individuals, right? So in terms of content, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this the last handful of days because, in reflecting back on the past couple of months, I realized that I've been sharing a lot of personal experience and personal detail with you, and so the conversation I want to have is making sure that at least sharing with you my guideline in terms of where do I draw the line, where do I draw the line between, sharing stuff with you that's personal and oversharing, right? And too much information. And again, it all boils down with purpose and intentionality, right? The purpose is to grow my audience, build my brand, and grow my presence online, right? That's the purpose for me creating this content and for publishing this stuff. And the intention is to serve, right? To serve the audience that I have, to serve the audience that I'm working to grow. In terms of the service part of it, it really all depends on you and the kind of brand and the kind of content that you want to create. For me, obviously, it's educational. It's self-development. It's a little bit of marketing, a little bit of content strategy, but overall, stuff that's educational in that realm, right? Business, mindset, things like that. But it can be anything, really. It depends on what kind of content creator you want to be. If you want to be an entertainer, if you have music content, if you're an artist, if you want to do skits, if you want to do Lego. I mean, I follow a handful of Lego content creators. If you want to do crocheting, I mean, there's really no limit to what kind of content and the intention behind that, right? What kind of value you're providing your audience, because there's an audience for everything, right? Just like there's an audience for education, for fitness, for health and wellness. There's an audience for Lego. There's an audience for Star Wars. There's an audience for podcast. There's really an audience for anything. So as long as the content, I think for me, at least this is my guideline, as long as that content is serving the audience in whatever way, shape, or form that it's serving, right? That the audience, the type of content that you're building. So the audience that you're growing. Purpose, again, is to grow your brand, to grow your presence online, to grow your audience. The intention is to serve that audience that you're growing, right, with the content that you're putting out. So where's the line then between TMI and sharing personal information and personal detail that serves my audience? I think really it's a matter of asking, who is this actually helping, right? Am I posting this because it's serving me and it's making me feel better, or is it actually going to help the people that's going to consume this content? And here's some things to look out for, some things not to do, really. When I have a piece of content, I make sure that if if my answer is yes to any of these, then maybe I'm crossing the line a little bit, and I need to kind of dial it back a bit and edit that piece of content, or to not post it all together. And again, this is only if your intention for content creation is to build the brand. If your purpose for content creation is to build a brand and to grow your audience and to grow your presence. If you're using social for social, then these guidelines aren't necessarily going to apply as much, but I think it's a good guideline regardless, because there is, I think, I don't know, there's a lot of TMI out there, and I think these questions will really help, even if you're just using social for social, right? Because TMI, nobody wants it, right? Nobody wants it. So the things that the questions that I ask to check whether or not it's TMI, and I probably shouldn't be sharing this, is am I just ... fill in the blank. Number one, venting, right? Venting, I mean, it serves no purpose really, other than to get something off your chest. Number two, am I attention seeking, right? Like I feel like that is something that we can tend to do, especially if we're using these platforms in a social manner, right? In a connecting manner, like it's attention getting, right? Like posting how sad you are, or the thing that you went through, or woe is me, like there's a lot of attention. I mean, even the other way, like I'm so angry about this individual, et cetera, et cetera. It's like this self-righteousness, like all these extremities of your own personal emotional roller coaster that you're airing out online. Ask yourself, are you just attention seeking, right? And if the answer is yes, I mean, you can only do this, you can only go through this practice if you're brutally honest with yourself. But if your answer is yes, then maybe you shouldn't post it, right? Maybe you shouldn't post, and I'll tell you why after I get through this list. So the next one is, am I just seeking validation? Right, seeking validation. There's another one, and this is kind of correlating to it. Am I just ranting or sharing an opinion? Right. Again, that's part of seeking validation. Part of, like, when people rant and they share a very kind of strongly opinionated post, it's generally just to seek validation and not to have any meaningful discussion. The last one is, am I just fishing? Am I just fishing for reaction? Am I just fishing for compliments? Am I just fishing for sympathy? Right. All these things. And again, if the answer is yes, of course, it takes a high level of brutal honesty to yourself. If the answer is yes, then maybe you shouldn't post it, right? Especially if you're out here trying to build your brand, if you're building your presence and building your audience, it doesn't really serve that purpose, right? And what this does is, if your answer is yes to any of this, if the thing that you're posting, right, especially if it's a personal detail or a personal experience, if it's yes to any of these things, what it does is it programs you to do more of it, right? Because like, it may feel like you're getting validation, it may feel like you're getting sympathy, it may feel like you're getting the attention that you want, or you're getting the help that you want, but really, what is happening, as we talked about in the last episode, is that you're only feeling better about the thing that you posted because you're getting a dopamine hit, right? It's the support and the help and the sympathy and the attention. It's all very fleeting, because it's response to a post. It's not response to the thing that you actually need, but you feel like you're getting the thing that you need, and the validation and all that stuff, because you're getting that dopamine hit. You feel better afterwards because your brain is releasing dopamine, because of the reactions that you're getting to that post. So it creates this, again, addictive pattern, but it's not actually helping you solve or address any of the things that you're posting about in the first place. Excuse me. So you see, I'm gonna have to edit that out. So you see, why for me, it's really important, even if you're using these platforms for social purposes, it's really important to have it's really important to at least have some sort of guideline behind what you post, because even what you post will program habits and behaviors that you may not be aware of, that you may be unconscious of, and you're going to again become more and more compulsive in those things, just like I said, and just like we talked about in the last episode. So again, what you want to do is be more purposeful and be more intentional, right? Really, really think hard about the thing that you're posting, the piece of content that you're, before you hit post, before you hit publish, really, really think hard about it. And if it answers any of those questions, yes, then go back to the drawing board, go back and edit, revise, or just throw it out, right? Throw it out. And if you need help, if you need, if you need actual help or somebody to actually listen to you, then reach out directly to a friend, reach out directly to a family member. I like online is really not the best place for you to post these things. And that goes beyond, building your brand and building your audience and building your presence, just for you mentally, and the health of your emotional state and your mindset. If you need help, do your best to not cry out for help online. Cry out for help and reach out to actual human beings that some people that care about you, people that you care about, and you can get that help that way, right? In terms of content, what you want to post, you should really have a purpose behind it, and you should really have an intention behind it. For me, that purpose is, again, to grow my audience, to build my brand, to grow my presence online, and the intention is to serve that audience that I'm working to grow. All right, so that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and go. There's a lot of editing that needs to be done with this episode because of that cough. And my dog is going off. The snores are going crazy. So I appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions about this, of course, you can. There's a new feature on with Buzzsprout, where it says send a text in the description and the show notes. So hit me with a text and let me know what your thoughts are. Of course, if you're watching this on the YouTube, you can leave comments in the comment section below. What's it called? Housekeeping, some administrative stuff. I forgot to mention this in the last episode. Path of the Jedi, my other show, is officially back up and running. So you can check that out wherever podcasts are available. It's Star Wars meets personal development. It's definitely completely focused on self-development, personal development, through the lens of Star Wars. So you can access that as well. You can find it on any platform where you find podcast, or on YouTube as well, YouTube audio. It's on my other channel. So I'll leave the link for that in the show notes of this episode. And then, of course, the last thing that I'm going to ask is, if you know one person who you think this would be helpful for, or who you think might enjoy this content, please go ahead and share it with them. My goal this year is to really, really grow this show beyond what we've already achieved, and to get this information and this content out there to more people. So I would really appreciate it. Hit that share button, hit that like button, and of course, we'll catch you next week with a fresh new one. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.